Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to the Operation Hill 100 Hearts channel where we do what? Focus on healing, humor, and hot motherfucking topics. If your nosy ass is here, then I know what you're here for. You're here for the healing portion of my channel, which is also another one of my favorite parts to do. So let's get into the Dear DJ letter. While we get into it, please do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to my channel, subscribe. After you subscribe, turn the notification bell. After you turn the notification bell, like the video. After you like the video, stick around. Drop down in the comment section. Give your feedback. After you give your feedback, go and share and let somebody know this Dear DJ was lit. Let's get into it. Dear DJ, in 2018, my son graduated from elementary school, and my baby moms had the bright idea to move down south. According to her, New York lifestyle was too much for her. Please. We have not been together for a while, so I had no say so in her leaving, but we did have a long conversation about her taking my son with her. We agreed upon a good visitation schedule. She moved to the location I suggested, and my son seemed to be excited about their move. During the pandemic, my baby mother fell on some hard times because she lost her job and had to move. She moved to what I call the Brownsville of the South. When this first happened, I asked her to let my son come back to New York and live with me, as she claimed she was so scared for her black teenage son to grow up in New York City. That bitch grew up in New York City. Anyway, apparently there was a situation down there regarding my son and an older guy that escalated, and my son was pow-powed. He's now in a coma. Oh my God. When I got down there, the story sounded crazy, but I didn't really care because I was more concerned with if my son was going to live or pass away. When they stabilized him and I really got some time to sit down and think and talk, it was revealed that this altercation took place because my son's raggedy ass mother was fucking this guy, and him and my son could not get along. Technically, that translates to this bitch to that translates to bitch, this is all your fault. I had decided that my son would be flown back to New York and I would nurse him back to health and take over this chapter of parenting primarily in his life. Deidre, my son, passed away 2 days after we got him home. I am heartbroken. I blamed the mom for this happening in the first place. She blamed me for bringing him back to New York. We don't know what to do or how to do it. Send some help, words of encouragement, and maybe a blueprint for us to move forward if you can. Signed, I blame you for what we're going through. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh. Ooh, child. Sometimes these dear DJs get heavy, boy. Mm, 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 mm. Let me send my condolences. Let me send my condolences. Let me send my condolences about your baby boy. This is horrific. This is absolutely horrific. So let me send my condolences to you and your entire family regarding your son because this is absolutely horrific, right? Let's start there. Um, the second part of that is there is there's no blueprint. There's no blueprint. There's no formula. There is nothing concrete and solid that anybody else can tell a grieving family when they're trying to process what they're going through, right? And I think the only thing I can and will say is that maybe you and Mama Love had the best intentions for the young man with all of the choices and decisions that y'all made. Because when you think about what Mama Love was saying, I guess she must have observed, what was taking place in New York and said, I don't want that same reality for my son. So let me relocate to see how I can make things better for him, right? According to you, that's how she felt. Now, why I also want to say that was her feeling is because not only did she relocate with the intention of doing better. She took your advice about where she should move. You know what I'm saying? So it seemed like she did want better, right, for your son, right? And there was a series of unfortunate events. I'm almost sure she didn't want that, but that's what took place, right? Now, speaking about you, I think that to some degree you may have been on board with her wanting better for your son, which is why at first you was a little apprehensive, but you finally gave in to her making the transition to the South. Right? Like you said, what I did to assist was I shared with her some of the locations that she probably should go so my son could be safe. So I think that you know she had the best intentions, right? I think you had the best intentions when you said, okay, I'll let you try this. And obviously, this didn't work. So now it's my turn to try as the other parent of this young person. Best intentions. Everybody here in this situation had the best intentions. It just, unfortunately, there was a series of unfortunate events, right? The blame game in tumultuous situations does nothing but heighten the tumultuous situation, right? So, like, case in point, if something happens between me and somebody, if something happens to me and I feel like as a result it happened because of somebody else, the only thing that I'm doing is sitting around and looking for ways to either pay that person back or wishing something bad on them. And the only thing that that's doing is heightening the harm of the situation. It's not bringing it to a calm, right? So while I can understand the mind frame, do I agree with it? Not at all. But I do understand the mind frame of the both of you. I think you're only causing each other more hurt and harm by blaming each other. Your son is no longer here. You know, unfortunately, your baby is no longer here. And because of that, it is not a time to be divisive, and it's not a time to be angry, and it's not a time to fuss and fight with one another. Now is the time to come together and love and support one another and uplift one another because you both are experiencing a tragedy. You both are the parents of this young man. You know what I'm saying? And I know we could argue what parent loved the little boy more. That's null and void. You both loved him, and you're both his parents. And instead of trying to go head to head with the other parent about what mistakes you feel like they made, it may be the opportunity to hold that person's hand and now uplift and support them because no matter what, we've lost our son and you are my family. Is that easier said than done? 100%. 100%. So me telling you that sounds beautiful and great in a grand scheme of it all. But actually putting in the legwork to do that is very hard. That is why I just ran down a list of intentions with you. Because I think that when you both look at each other's intentions, then what is wrong with this fucking hat and wig combo? Then you will realize that no, I don't think either one of us meant harm to our son. It's just a series of unfortunate situations unraveled. As far as your son's mom having a relationship with the gentleman that took place with, I mean, that is a situation that is unfortunate, but it's also a situation that can be rectified depending on what the relationship looked like between them two, right? Meaning that if she knew him well enough, then you get the police involved and you do what you need to do, right? And that makes it a little easier because it's not, the feeling of somebody got away with doing something. Well, no, actually, we can get somebody charged and arrested and convicted and so on and so forth for what took place with your young person. So while it's unfortunate that she has some form of relationship with that person, that might also be a part of the benefit of helping to avenge your son's death. If I'm speaking in the right terms, right? So yeah, it's unfortunate that it went that route, but she may also have some leads that could help it be rectified. Will that bring your son back? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But from my experience, when you're able to lay your loved ones to rest properly and you're able to get some form of justice for what happened with them, it can ease you a little bit, right? So I'm thinking that because they had that relationship, if it's to that magnitude, she can do something to help push the whole justice piece of it forward. And that might give you some solace. Very little, but it will give you some because nothing can replace your baby. So I'm not saying that that will help you feel better about him being gone, right? Um, I think that you and her, I don't know how communicative she is because that's another thing that's hard, right? I can always share with my dear DJ letter writers that they need to talk to a person and get a person to understand and try to have these positive dialogues and so on and so forth. But that's incredibly hard when you're the only person doing it. You know, it's a little easier when you have somebody else who's willing to, but that person has to be willing to. And in situations like this, it is hard. It is hard. My suggestion would be initially, if you want to go have the conversation with her about moving forward, that you just listen. Maybe for right now, you need to just listen. And I know that's hard because it's like, well, just listen when I have so much to fucking say. Yeah. You know, it's a term that I use, quiet, still, and faith filled, right? And when I'm in one of my tumultuous moments and I realize that anything that's going to come out my mouth is going to make the situation worse, I just revert back to quiet, still, faith filled, right? So I allow everything around me to do what it needs to do while I stay quiet, still, and faith filled. Because I feel like in doing so, I'm allowing God to work on my behalf. It's very easy for us to want to step in and change a situation or navigate a situation to go the way we want it to go. Yes, it is very easy for us to do so. And sometimes it's warranted for us to do it. But then there's also those moments where you need to step back, you need to throw your hands up, and you need to trust God. And the reason why you know those moments is because when all of the things that you have tried no longer works, then it's that time. And like I said, for me, that's represented when anything that I'm going to contribute to a situation, I know is going to make it worse. If I say my part, it's going to get ugly. If I go and talk to the person, it's going to get ugly. If I address some of the things the other person did, it's going to get ugly. That means that everything that I know how to do is only going to make the situation worse. Then I don't need to do anything. I need to now rely on my relationship with God and allow Him to work on my behalf, which is why I'm now staying quiet, still, faith filled. Right? And that may be what you need to do because trying to have a conversation as a grieving parent with another grieving parent, that can sometimes feel impossible, especially if you guys are not in good terms. That can feel impossible. So you may need to just step back and listen. And in listening, you may really get to hear everything you need to regarding the situation. Now, once again, doing all of these things does not bring your son back. It doesn't make your life happier regarding not having your son. Not at all. Not at all. You have lost a child. So let's start there. You have lost a child. So the amount of grief and pain that you feel, there is no sweeping that under the rug. There is no pretending. And for some people, there is no getting past it, right? But there is a way to cope and a way to still exist and a way to still be fully functioning while you're grieving. And in order for you to do so, I suggest you come get your Operation Heal 100 Heart session. Because while I know that it can be incredibly hard and painful, I also know that if you're willing to, it's very much doable. And if you want to, from your letter, as you said, be on better terms with the mother of your child, then you have to really consider moving forward throughout the grieving process in a positive direction. Now, the other part about that is not having the other person on the same page. So while you might be positive Patrick and you might be coming through with all of these good solutions and you may be just trying to help, she may be on demon time. Does that make this any easier? Absolutely not. The first thing you can do when you notice that she is on demon time anytime is you can refer her to Operation Heal 100 Hearts, right? And then afterwards, you just have to allow her to grieve the way she needs to grieve. Because right now, not only is this letter about you because you wrote it, but right now, this time is also about you and your grieving. I'm not saying that you shouldn't support and love your baby mama, but I don't want you to make this entire process about her. You're also grieving as well. This has to, at some point, be about you. So, whatever she needs to grow through to move forward, no matter how crazy it may look to you, you might have to actually allow her to do so. Like, okay, bitch, you know what? You want to drink your life away? What you want me to do? You want to quit your job and stay home all day? What you want me to do? Now, granted, does that sound crazy to allow? Of course, because you're my family and I love you. But sometimes it's also something you can't stop. You know what I'm saying? It's also something you can't stop. It also can be a situation that if you try to step in and stop, it can be harmful for you and her. Which is why I advise you to step back and be quiet, still, and faith filled when trying to learn how to navigate that relationship. You didn't share how long ago this was, so that your son was passed away. So I'm just wondering how much time has it been? I'm pretty sure at this point you have buried the young man, And once again, I send my deepest condolences, and I'm wondering what life looks like for you now. You didn't share if you only had one child. You know, you didn't share much about your life, here in New York and what you have going on aside from being a dad. So I would be asking those questions if we was in a healing heart session because I would love to try to assist you in moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Naturally, because you're the letter writer, and also because you deserve that. You never forget about your son. You continue to carry on a legacy. You continue to celebrate his life. You continue to do all of the things that you need to do as a dad, but you also continue to live as a man. That's very, very important. I have seen grief take people out. They have gotten so far and low in their depression that it can literally take them out. You don't want to become one of those people. You don't deserve that. What happened to your son is very unfortunate and very unfair. But God has blessed you with life still here on earth. And I know it may sound crazy to do so without your son, but you have to continue to live. You know what I'm saying? That's what your son will want, and that's what God will want. And I want to help you be able to give it a try. All right, Dad. Once again, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. My heart goes out. I'm praying for the family. I'm praying for everybody involved. I'm praying for justice. I'm praying for the mom. My condolences once again. I don't wish this on my worst enemy, but I think God has a plan, which is why you wrote the letter. Ladies and gentlemen, like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. Keep this family in prayer and enjoy your holiday season.